So you want to sell comic books? What is going on, guys? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today I'm talking about how to sell comic books. Look, there's so many ways to do it. There's so many different reasons to do it. But if you are somebody that's wanting to sell comic books, whether it's looking to sell your entire collection, or you want to get into the speculation game and maybe flip comic books to get a little extra revenue coming in, maybe to support the hobby, we're going to talk about these things today. So before we get into it, guys, definitely please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Road to 3,000 subscribers. We are almost there. I will be announcing my 3,000 subscriber contest next week. So be on the lookout for that. But getting into this, guys, how to sell your comic books. So there's different variables that we have to look at, and I'm going to break this down into different categories to see if this is something that you specifically would be interested in doing. The first question that there's about 3 or 4 questions you need to ask yourself, and then there's branches from each question that you need to really understand. The first question is, why are you selling? All right, that's the question that you have to ask yourself. Are you looking to earn some type of residual income? Are you looking for immediate cash because of some type of emergency? That's why a lot of people put up their entire collections for sale. So you have to ask yourself, why are you selling? This is without asking or answering this question, you're really going to set yourself up for failure, because once you answer this question, then you can dive in to say, how much time and energy do I want to put into this? All right. The second question you need to ask is, what are you selling? So no matter the reason of why you're selling, you have to understand what you're selling. Now, you look at it, if you have key issues, are you looking at, smaller lots of books, anywhere from 20 to 30 books that might not specifically be keys, but you just want to sell kind of in bulk. Or do you want to sell your entire collection as bulk, just trying to get that entire collection sold off? You want one flat price for everything, no matter if you have 1,000 books or maybe 10,000 books. You also have to ask yourself, how old are your comics? What's the mixture of eras of your comics? Because depending on how you want to sell, you might break your sales down, by age, by year, by keys, by lots, by runs, and so forth. There's so many variables that you could pick apart just after you look at the fact of why you want to sell in the first place, okay? Question 3, and this really goes into why you're selling, why you want to sell. But the third question is, how much effort do you want to put into selling your collection? All right, this is probably the most important question out of them all. When you talk about effort, you think about selling your comic collection in whole, right? That's going to be probably the least effort made. You could take your entire collection down to an LCS store, or you could put it up online for sale saying, I want to get rid of this, make me an offer, right? But if you're looking to sell for any type of residual income or any type of real market value, you're going to want to put a lot more effort into, trying to sell your books. Now, the more effort that you put in, the more profit you're looking to get. The less effort that you put in, the less profit that you're going to get back out of it. That's just the name of the game, and that's how it is. And like I said earlier, maybe you have an emergency where you're just trying to get your collection off. Maybe you're not looking for that, high profit, and you just want something to help sustain some type of debt or emergency situation where you need to have some type of financing, right? So once you understand how much effort that you want to put into it, you have to understand, what the high effort looks like. So if you are one that wants to put in high effort, you're looking at possible residual income, right? This is something that you're going to take the time in to have some type of valid and solid profit, maybe over a time period, just again, depending on if you want to sell your collection as a whole, or if you want to break it down. But the more that you break your collection down, the more, again, look at the correlation. The more you break it down, the more effort you're putting into it, and the more profit you're going to get out of it. So, making this is really making a business out of it. And even making a business out of it can be at different levels, right? And again, you got to ask yourself, why are you selling? Are you selling to earn money to invest back in the hobby, right? Or are you just trying to make a living out of it? You don't care about collecting and you just want to speculate on books, put the money out to get books, and then trying to sell them to flip them to make a profit, right? So in that situation, you have to be a buyer. If you're looking to make a business out of it where, whether you're trying to fund the hobby itself or you're just looking for that residual value and residual income over time, you have to be a buyer. So you're taking yourself down a whole nother road, because not only do you need to understand what you need to do to sell to get the most value in the highest profits, you need to understand how to be a buyer. And I'm not really going to go too much into that in this video, but I will say, in brief, that means educating yourself to the market, educating yourself. It's like playing the stock market. You really have to be looking at the market every single day. You have to understand how to buy low, sell high, and all these things. So being a buyer is a job in itself. So if you're not really into spending that much money trying to be a buyer and a seller and be a flipper or speculator that flips constantly, and maybe you're just a true collector, but you can still take enough time to understand the market where you buy enough to where you still have the capability of flipping to then maybe get some key books that you want for your own personal collection. It's going to take a little less work, but still you got to do your due diligence, okay? Now, all these questions that I went over, you still have to consider how you are going to sell your books, regardless of in bulk, breaking it down, or just selling specific keys and maximizing your profit. When you look at ways to sell, I think probably the most, I wouldn't say important one, but the most popular one that people are going to understand is eBay. eBay is a killer market, especially right now in the COVID era. So there's eBay, and again, with COVID era, there's live streams, Facebook live streams, Instagram live streams. These are like claim sales, bin sales that you see on social media as well. So if you're not into doing the live video, you can do a post in, say, a comic book group where you do a buy it now sale. So let's break these down a little bit when it comes to social media. If you have an Instagram or Facebook, right? Let's just say Instagram to start. You can post pics, and this is an example of how some people do this. Say you have one day a week where you sell on Instagram. You can post individual pictures and do a starting bid price, and whoever, you can have a closing time. So at whatever time you close, whoever has the highest bid and that commented with the highest bid wins the book. Or you could do a bin sale, a buy it now. You can offer the book in a post, and you could say $5 plus shipping. Whoever says claim first, they win that. You could do the same with Facebook. Now, a good way to do this on Facebook isn't from your specific personal profile page, but it's getting into comic book groups. So there's dozens and tons of comic book groups out there with thousands of members that are buy, sell, trade. And I see bin sales going on every day, and they're very successful. So you could do the same thing. You could do one post, and in the post, you can put each picture of each comic you're selling in the comments of that post. And whoever claims the book by commenting on it first, they win. And of course, you have to be savvy on how to handle payments via PayPal or Venmo or whatever you may use. Now, another more protected way of doing this is Facebook Marketplace, where it's just like, Craigslist, and that's another avenue to go, although Craigslist isn't as popular as it used to be. But the most protective of where you're going to be with selling online is eBay. This goes back to the first question I asked. Why are you selling? And then how much effort are you willing to put in? eBay takes a whole lot of effort to sell. All right. Regardless of if you are breaking down your collection by, say, larger lots, you still have to take the time to make the listing. And especially if you are selling individual books, right? So for example, say you don't want to sell your whole collection outright, right? But you don't want to take the time to list individual books. Well, you could break it down into lots. So one example that I might do, because I'm a collector of runs, if I ever wanted to sell my books and not sell them individually, I might break them down by run. So if I have a X Factor run, I might sell X Factor 1 through 20, and then maybe I'll take out my key books because I know I could still maybe sell my key books individually. And, I do a bid. They can place their bids on it. Or I could set a buy it now price where I feel is a fair market price for me to get for my books. So you could do 20 books lots, you could do 30 book lots, you could do 10, 5, whatever. Pull your keys out of those lots, set your keys aside because you can maximize your profit by keeping your keys separate, right? But you have to understand, once again, eBay takes a lot of work. It's almost really gauging the value of the time that you put in to the money that you think you're going to make, right? So say you're in a situation where you only want to sell your keys. I highly, highly recommend eBay or any online source, but more than others, eBay as the prime way to sell your key books. Because, and again, especially in the COVID area, you're going to maximize fair market value with eBay. I've talked about this before. So, when people are looking on eBay or online, they're in the convenience of their own home from their computers or their cell phones, and they may be willing to pay a little more by not taking a trip within the outside world to an LCS or to maybe an individual buyer that posted on Facebook Marketplace. So, you have a lot of ability for eBay right now because eBay is the marketplace for the collector right now for this COVID age. We are seeing sales skyrocket for a lot of key books in terms of volume and price on eBay. So you have to know what you're selling, though. So this goes back to educating yourself on what it is that you're selling. Again, the more effort you put in, the more profit you're going to come out. If you try selling anything within your collection without educating yourself to it, you're going to sell yourself short. And I'm not just talking about key books. You have to understand, say you have a bunch of random Silver Age books, and maybe there's nothing extremely key in it, but there's value in those books just because of the era that they're from, and then you have to understand the condition of the book. So don't just sum everything up in a whole lot if you're willing to take the time to break it down. And you may ask, well, how do I educate myself to knowing what I have to sell? And I always say, do your due diligence and never use one resource. Always use multiple resources. One of the most favorite resources of collectors is eBay, and that's utilizing eBay sold listings. Now, eBay sold listings is, say you have a certain book, you can search in the search bar in eBay and say we're looking for a Amazing Spider-Man, 301, some random book, right? You search for it in the bar. Once you pull up your search engine in eBay, you go to filter and you scroll down and pick sold items. You click sold items and it'll bring you up everything that is sold of that book, and you can gauge what fair market value is on eBay currently. Another example that I will always recommend, and I don't have it out here, I have it in my room because I've been reading it and studying it, the Overstreet Price Guide. Keep in mind, though, the Overstreet Price Guide, especially for hot key books, They're not going to tell you what the market's been doing over the last few weeks or few months because it only comes out annually. Great websites that I always recommend is Cover Price to try to gauge fair market value, Go Collect to try to gauge fair market value, and Comic Book Realm. I will throw Key Collector out there, although I have issues with how they label their books. They do have a very a detailed breakdown of fair market value. So always use multiple resources and do your homework. All right. Again, the more profit that you want to get out, the more work you're going to have to put in. It's just that simple. So if you are utilizing eBay, Facebook, Instagram, live sales, or just marketplace, you are going to want to do your due diligence and do your research. I always say too, it's okay to ask high, and meet folks at a reasonable price that you think will work for you if you're willing to take offers. Don't shortchange yourself. But then again, don't look like a fool asking, $1,000 for a $50 book or something like that, right? Now, I want to talk about, the fast money, low effort, guys, okay? So, look, you got to understand that if you don't know what you're selling, people are going to take advantage of that. But if you don't do your homework or do your due diligence, you can't blame them, all right? It is up to you to educate yourself on it. If you don't have the time and you don't have the energy, because it may be an emergency situation or whatnot, what I recommend doing is, first and foremost, trying to find a friend or somebody that you can trust that might be able to go through the collection for you. Maybe it's not your collection. Maybe it's a spouse's collection or a family member's collection, and you need to sell it for money to really help pay bills or for something that's truly serious. Try to see if you know someone that's willing to go through the collection, because the one thing that I recommend for those that even want to get that fast money and get the collection off is at least trying to cherry pick key books, right? So that means going through the collection and seeing if you can recognize any key books that you can pull out, okay? Because you really, if you take your books and try to sell them in mass and you have a buyer coming, or you try to take them to an LCS store, most likely they're going to give you pennies to the dollar. And look, you can't blame them, because especially for an LCS, they need to profit. And look, I support my local LCSs, but I can't sit and tell you that every LCS is going to be ethical, that they're going to tell you that you have key books, valuable books in your collection. So here is where it's a fine line between, again, how much time you really want to put into it, okay? But look, if you're even decently savvy, if you even have a small amount of knowledge on understanding what some key books might be, take the time, take a couple hours, depending on how large the collection is. At least do yourself a favor and look through those boxes in that collection and try to pick out the most valuable books that you see. Because you can have books that are hundreds and thousands of dollars in value, and if you take it to an LCS, or if you post it on Marketplace as, I'm just trying to get all this stuff off my hands, you're going to get buyers that are going to try to lowball you and get pennies for the dollar. So that's my advice, guys. Again, I just want to reiterate the most important things. What are you selling, right? Do you want to take the time to maximize your profit, or do you want to get it off fast? Educate yourself. Know what you're selling. Know the condition. Know the era. Try to pick out the key books, okay? What you are selling is very, very important to how much money you're going to get in return. And then again, it all boils down to the effort that you want to put in. Is this something that you're going to make a business out of? Is it something that you're doing to try to fund the hobby? Or do you just want to get rid of this collection as fast as you can, and you're willing to take the risk of losing profit in order to just get some quick cash in your pocket. So I hope that kind of broke some things down for you guys, maybe answer some questions. I know I did this video because I had some people asking. So these are the multiple different ways that you can sell your comic books, and these are the most important key variables that you need to understand before you make any decision to sell anything. All right. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you for watching. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Be well, and until next time.